welcome to Now That's Good Coffee. And what we do here is we have coffee and contemplation. Okay, so we discuss whatever topics we want to think about whilst drinking a cup of coffee. And today I'm drinking the Peru coffee. Here's my little owl mug. I don't even know when I got this mug. Had it for a long time. In fact, it's not even mine. I think it's my wife's. Anyways, the Peru coffee, and I just have to say, now that's good coffee. It is. It truly is. So head on over to nowthat'sgoodcoffee.com, get yourself some coffee, and join me as I bring up anything and everything. And comment down below if you want me to discuss a particular issue or a topic. Then, ask and I will, because I love talking about stuff. I like to go deep. Okay, so today I want to talk about a documentary that I saw on Netflix literally just a few days ago, and it was very impactful, and I thought, wow, it's really good. And I want to know in the comments below, have you seen this documentary? And if you've seen it, what did you think? What are your thoughts on it, right? Well, let me tell you what it is. It's called Seaspiracy, right? Seaspiracy. And I saw this thumbnail on my Netflix, for some time, and I sit down and I think, do I want to watch a movie or do I want to watch a documentary? And I do have a bit of a weakness for good movies. So yeah, we'll discuss some movies in some of these episodes that I'm doing on Now That's Good Coffee. Yeah, sometimes I think, I'm going to watch a documentary, and I've been putting off seeing Seaspiracy. I did see Cowspiracy some time ago. But yeah, I just decided, you know what, I'm in the mood for it, right? So I put it on, and I'm glad I did, because wow, what an eye-opener. It is such an eye-opener, right? It was shocking. And do you know what? It did put me off eating fish, right? Now, when I watch things to do with like animals, I have a love for animals. And when I see things about animals, the fact that animals, they want to live, and the fact that eating animals is like detrimental to our planet, even, right? And it makes sense to me that we should probably be vegan, but that's very hard for me. In my heart, I want to be a vegan, but, it's hard to break a habit of a lifetime. I've always eaten meat, so, I aspire to achieve veganism someday. But it's just not something that can happen overnight. But I tell you what, I've never been a great lover of fish. I've always enjoyed things like prawns and lobster, tuna. I love tuna. So there's a lot of fish that I like, but I'm not such a great lover of fish that, if you took fish away from me, I wouldn't notice it that much. And I'll tell you what, after seeing this documentary, I have not eaten any fish since. Neither do I feel inclined to, because, when you watch the documentary, it's really, really shocking and eye-opening. So let's go through a few points as to what was discussed on Seaspiracy. Well, the first thing is, and I kind of knew this already, is that, a lot of people think that we get our oxygen from the rainforests, right? Because oxygen comes from the trees, right? And that's what I always believed. And then just a number of years ago, it came to my attention that actually, and we don't often talk about this, but the majority of the oxygen we breathe is produced by the oceans, right? Because there's a whole, plant life in the oceans. And the oceans cover 2/3 of the planet, okay? So, 85% of the oxygen we breathe is produced by the oceans. So, the oceans are an important part of human life, or any life for that matter, on Earth. We've got to look after the ecosystem of the oceans because it's so important, right? So 85%, I mean, I wasn't surprised to hear that because I was familiar with that, but yeah, it's just good to get reminded of that. Okay, so basically what they're saying is, on this documentary, is that the way that we're fishing the oceans, that the oceans will be empty by 2048. That's not very far into the future, right? we're now in 2021, right? 2048 is not that far away. And that is the projection. The oceans will be empty, right? During the documentary, they talked about how, like, fishermen are not collecting as much fish as they used to, right? It was shocking how they were saying the numbers, the percentage. I remember hammerhead sharks, they were like 99% down in their population. There was like a whole bunch. That was just one that stands out in my mind. Because when they fish, they're not going for particular species of fish, but they catch them anyway, right? Because they just catch fish indiscriminately. They have these enormous nets. In fact, they were saying that, like, you could fit a cathedral, 13 Boeing jets into a net. I mean, these are ginormous nets that they drag along the floor of the ocean, and it just scoops up everything, right? And what they don't need, what they don't want, it's just tough, So I mean, they're just pulling out so much fish; it's unbelievable. So the oceans will be empty by 2048, unless, I mean, this documentary was saying that we can turn this around if we do something, but it seems that no one wants to do anything, yeah. And that's the whole point of this documentary, right? But anyway, let's move on. So 46% of the plastic in the ocean. We all know that the ocean is full of plastic, right? And so they were saying that like 46% of the plastic is from fishing nets. That's a huge percentage. And they're preaching to us about getting plastic straw, doing away with plastic straws, right? Get paper straws, because, like, these plastic straws are destroying our planet. And I think they actually addressed that, and they said it was something like 0.03%. Now, don't get on my case about my numbers, because I didn't sit there and take notes whilst I was watching the documentary. No one does that. I'm just going by memory. Oh, actually, I'm on a website here looking at, just to jog my memory. Yeah, it is 0.03%. For plastic straws, so I did get that right. Yeah, so it's like a distraction, isn't it? It's like, okay, well, let's like attack the plastic straws, and then, like, everyone's thinking about plastic straws and going about, having paper straws. They feel good. They feel like they're doing something good, where in actual fact, it's like, I think they use the analogy like, boycotting toothpicks to save the Amazon forest, so it's really not helping at all, right? Just that little tiny bit. Okay. So they say that the equivalent of a garbage truck load of plastic is dumped into the ocean every minute. I mean, imagine that, every minute. How many minutes are there in a day? I mean, that's a lot of plastic being dumped into the ocean, right? So, I mean, yeah, it's shocking. I mean, you've probably heard of this, like, island in the ocean where all the currents kind of, congregate all the plastic, and it's like a whole island, yeah? So, yeah, I mean, I'm going to give you my conclusion at the end of this, and I feel that, kind of what the root cause of this is, but apart from us, like, not taking personal responsibility for the planet. Okay, so they reckon that 90% of the world's coral reefs is going to die by 2050. That's horrifying. So there's just so much now. Oh, slavery on the fishing boats as well. Yeah, there's like loads here. I'm just looking through a website just to jog my memory. But yeah, so it's very interesting. So I've not given it all away. It's not a complete spoiler. You should watch it. It's presented in a very light, kind of easy to watch way, and it's very, very well done. Hats off to the people that made it. But some people may argue, oh, it's maybe not 100% accurate. You've always got the critics, that kind of poo-poo these kind of documentaries. You get them all the time. But at the end of the day, if there's any truth to it, it's a worry, isn't it? Now, Okay, so I've been thinking about this a lot, and it really comes back to this, and this is what I feel, is that the problem that we have in the world is that, well, 100 years ago we had 1 billion people on the earth. Today we have almost 8 billion. Okay, so the population is growing exponentially, right? Now, there is a limit as to how many people we can have on the earth. And, I have conversations with people and they say, oh, like, yes, the earth can sustain the amount of people that we have on the earth today. We just need better management of the earth. And yeah, I can go along with that. But that we may be at a nice comfort sort of sweet spot. We may be at that sweet spot. Yeah, we're fine as we are at this number if we manage the planet properly. But we're not just going to stay at this number, are we? Yeah, because the population is growing, and the greater it grows, the faster it will grow. That's how it works, right? That's why we've exploded from 1 billion to 8 billion in a short time, right? So to go from 8 billion to 20 billion, I don't know what the projection is, but it's going to be, I mean, 20. The difference in number between 8 billion and 20 billion is huge, and it's not going to take as long, right? Because there's 8 billion people breeding, right? So there is, we're not limitless capacity. There is a critical mass point, right? And I feel that um, there it's all mouths to feed, isn't it? Right. So we got 8 billion people, and in this modern day living, we all want to eat our meat. Going back in time, meat was a treat, right? So you would like maybe be lucky to eat meat 2 or 3 times a week, right? Because life was different. Now, like people feel entitled to eat like meat like at least twice a day. I mean, like we got times 8 billion. Well, not times 8 billion, because a lot of the world is in poverty. I know, but certainly a greater number than it used to be, right? So we've got a lot of people, a lot of mouths to feed, right? And I do believe it all boils down to a population problem. How to rectify that, I don't know. I don't believe we should have a genocide. No, I don't. But it is an issue. It has to be addressed. The population of the world has to be addressed. We need to control population. If you had a farm, and I don't know, if you had, I mean, what do you do if there's animal infestations? Right, you have to. I'm not saying we have to cull humans. No, I'm not. Do not twist my words. I'm not saying we have to cull humans, but that's what we do in the animal kingdom. If things get out of hand and the population is too great, we have to do something. We have to control that population, or somehow we need to control the human population. If we don't do it now, there'll come a time in the future when we do have to address the human population and bring it under control for the greater good, for the betterment of humanity, and for the sustainment of humanity, and for the quality of life of all. Now, I wouldn't like to be in charge of that. I wouldn't want to. I don't know how we can do that in a way that is ethical. I don't know the answers to those questions. I don't. But it's something that can't be ignored, you know? It really is. And I'm going to stop digging, right? Okay, so that's my thoughts on Seaspiracy. So check, give me your comments down below. Let me know if you've seen it, what you think of it, and I'll talk to you in the next episode.